My girlfriend said, "You're too jealous and controlling." I replied, "Now control your own bills." Then I stopped payments, took my name off everything, ghosted, and I smiled when reality controlled her. "Hey, Reddit, you need therapy for your jealousy issues," she said, standing in our kitchen with her arms crossed. "This controlling behavior is toxic, and I won't tolerate it anymore." I looked at her calmly and replied, "You know what? You're right. Starting now, you can control everything yourself." She blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm done. Control your own bills, your own life. I'm out." The color drained from her face. "Wait, are you serious?" I was 28 years old, and I'd been dating Melissa for 3 years. We'd moved in together 18 months ago into a 2-bedroom apartment in downtown that I'd paid the deposit on. My name was on the lease. My card was on the utilities. My account handled the internet, streaming services, car insurance for the vehicle she drove daily, and half the groceries that somehow always ended up being the full amount. But none of that mattered anymore, because according to her, I was the problem. Let me back up slightly. The argument that night didn't come out of nowhere. It had been building for months, though I'd been too blind or too stupid or too in love to see it clearly. 6 months earlier, things between us had been good, or so I thought. We had our routines. I worked in IT consulting, pulling decent money. She worked part-time at a boutique, spending more on clothes from her employee discount than she made in a month. I didn't mind. I thought we were building something together. Then she started going out more. Girls' nights became a weekly thing, then twice a week, then whenever she felt like it. I wasn't suspicious at first. Everyone needs friends. Everyone needs space. I trusted her. But then came the night I asked if I could join one of her outings, just to meet her friends properly, hang out, be included in that part of her life. "Why would you want to do that?" she'd asked, laughing like I'd suggested something absurd. "Because they're your friends," I said. "I'd like to know the people you spend time with." Her expression shifted. "That's kind of weird. These are my friends, not yours. I'm not trying to take them away from you. I just thought. You just thought you could monitor who I hang out with." Her tone turned sharp. "That's controlling." I was stunned. "That's not what I meant at all. It's what you said." From that point on, any question I asked was controlling. Any concern I voiced was jealousy. If I asked what time she'd be home, I was treating her like a child. If I mentioned I felt disconnected from her, I was being emotionally manipulative. Meanwhile, my credit card statements grew longer. Dinners out, Ubers across the city, new outfits every week, bar tabs, brunch with the girls, concert tickets, hotel stays for weekend trips I wasn't invited to. When I finally brought it up, she exploded. "You're seriously going to throw money in my face?" she shouted. "You make more than me." "What? You expect me to live like a nun just because I don't make 6 figures?" "I don't make 6 figures," I said quietly. "And I'm not asking you to live like a nun. I'm asking for some balance." "Balance? You mean control. You want to control what I spend, where I go, who I see. This is financial abuse." That word hung in the air like poison. Abuse. I'd never raised my voice at her. Never told her what to wear or who to see. Never demanded passwords or location tracking. I'd simply asked reasonable questions and expected reasonable contributions. But I was the abuser. That's when I started noticing other things. The way she angled her phone away when texting. The sudden need for privacy in our own apartment. The nights she came home at 2 or 3 in the morning, stumbling drunk, smelling like cologne that wasn't mine. When I asked about it, I got the same response every time. "You're being paranoid." This jealousy is exhausting. I started pulling back emotionally, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation. I stopped asking questions, stopped trying to make plans with her, stopped initiating affection. She didn't notice. Or if she did, she didn't care. Until the night everything changed. She came home around midnight on a Thursday. I was on the couch with my laptop, finishing up a project for work. "Hey," she said, dropping her purse on the counter. "Hey." She walked over and sat next to me, closer than she'd been in weeks. I've been thinking about us. My stomach tightened. Okay, I think we need to have a serious talk about your behavior. I closed my laptop. My behavior? The jealousy, the control issues, the way you track my spending and question everything I do. She paused dramatically. I talked to my therapist about it. You have a therapist? I started seeing one because of the stress you've been causing me. She looked at me with what I'm sure she thought was compassion. She helped me realize that what you're doing isn't healthy. It's actually a form of abuse. I sat there, completely numb. So I need you to make a choice, she continued. Either you get professional help for these issues, or I can't stay in this relationship. Something inside me snapped. Not into anger, but into perfect, crystalline clarity. You're right, I said calmly. She looked surprised. I am. Yeah, I do need to change. And I'm going to start right now. That's when I said it. The words that kicked off this entire chain of events. You can control everything yourself from now on. Her confusion was almost comical. What do you mean? I mean, I'm removing myself from this situation. You want independence? You've got it. Total independence. Are you breaking up with me? I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. Freedom from my controlling behavior. She laughed nervously. You're being dramatic. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to the bank. I'm removing you as an authorized user on my credit card. I'm taking your name off my insurance policy. I'm calling the utility companies and making sure you understand that if you want to keep living here, you'll need to pay half of everything. Her face went white. You can't be serious. I'm completely serious. I'm also calling the dealership about the car. Since it's in my name and I make the payments, I'll be making decisions about that too. That's my car, she shouted. No, it's my car that you drive. There's a difference. She stood up, shaking. You're punishing me for having boundaries. I'm respecting your boundaries. You don't want me involved in your life, asking questions, having any say in what you do. So I won't be. But that also means I won't be funding it. This is financial abuse. I stood up too, matching her energy with eerie calm. No, financial abuse is me paying for everything while you accuse me of being controlling for noticing. What I'm doing is called having self-respect. I'll leave, she threatened. I'll pack my stuff and leave right now. The door's right there. She stared at me, mouth open, clearly expecting me to backtrack, to apologize, to beg her to stay. I didn't. You're insane, she finally said. This whole jealousy thing has made you lose your mind. Maybe, I agreed. Guess you'll have to control your own life and find out how insane I really am. She stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door. I slept on the couch that night, not because I was punishing myself, but because I didn't want to be anywhere near her. The next morning, I did exactly what I said I would. First stop, the bank. I removed her as an authorized user on my credit card. The representative asked if everything was okay. I smiled and said, everything's great. Just making some changes. Second stop, insurance company. I called them from my car and had her taken off my auto policy. They mentioned she'd need to get her own policy to drive legally. I said that was her problem now. Third, I called the utility companies. Electric, water, internet. I had them send me an itemized breakdown of the costs and then drafted an email to Melissa explaining that her half would be due on the 1st of each month. If she didn't pay, services would be disconnected. Fourth, I called the landlord and explained the situation. He was understanding. Said he'd need both of us to sign off if she wanted to be added to the lease officially, but that he'd be happy to prorate rent between us if needed. By noon, I'd restructured my entire financial life to exclude her. When I got home that evening, she was waiting. We need to talk, she said, her tone much softer than the night before. About what? About what you did today. She held up her phone. My credit card got declined at lunch. That was my credit card. You're not authorized to use it anymore. I don't have another card. That sounds like something you should fix. She looked like she was about to cry. Why are you being like this? Like what? Independent? Self-sufficient? I thought that's what you wanted. I wanted you to stop being controlling, not to abandon me. I'm not abandoning you. I'm right here. I'm just not paying for your lifestyle anymore. My lifestyle? She laughed bitterly. You mean basic living expenses? If they're basic, you can handle them yourself. Over the next week, reality began to sink in for her. She had to set up her own car insurance, which cost significantly more than being on my policy. She had to actually budget for groceries instead of just grabbing whatever looked good. She had to plan her nights out based on what she could actually afford, not what my credit limit could handle. And she hated every second of it. I can't believe you're doing this, she said one night as I made dinner for myself. Just myself. Want some? I offered, gesturing to the pasta. That's not the point. What is the point, Melissa? The point is you're being petty and vindictive. I'm being exactly what you accused me of not being. Hands off. Uninvolved. Not controlling. You know that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Because from where I'm standing, you wanted all the benefits of my involvement with none of the accountability. She had no response to that. By week 2, the mutual friends started weighing in. Her best friend, Christina, called me. What the hell is going on? Melissa says you've basically cut her off financially. I removed her from my accounts, I said. She's an adult. She can handle her own finances. You're being cruel. You know she doesn't make much money. And whose fault is that? She works part-time by choice. She spends more than she makes by choice. Those are her choices. She's your girlfriend. You're supposed to support her. I did support her. For 3 years. And the moment I asked for some appreciation or balance, I got accused of being abusive. So now she can support herself. Christina sputtered. You're punishing her for having boundaries. If her boundaries include my wallet, then yeah, I guess I am. She hung up on me. More friends called. More people took sides. The story Melissa was telling painted me as a monster who'd suddenly cut off his struggling girlfriend without warning or reason. She conveniently left out the parts about calling me controlling, jealous, and abusive. Left out the parts about spending thousands of dollars of my money without contribution or gratitude. Left out the parts about coming home at 3 in the morning smelling like someone else. But I didn't defend myself publicly. I didn't need to. By week 3, Melissa was scrambling. She picked up extra shifts at the boutique. She started selling clothes online. She asked her parents for money, which apparently didn't go well based on the one-sided phone argument I overheard. And she started being nice to me again. Suspiciously nice. I made you coffee, she said one morning, handing me a cup. Thanks. I took it but didn't drink it. I was thinking maybe we could do something this weekend. Together. Like we used to. I have plans. Oh. Her face fell. What kind of plans? The kind that don't involve you. That's mean. It's honest. She tried a different approach. I know things have been rough between us, but I think we can work through this. Maybe we both overreacted. I didn't overreact. I responded appropriately to being called abusive. I didn't mean it like that. Yes, you did. You meant every word. And now you're facing the consequences of those words. So what? You're just going to punish me forever? I set down my coffee cup and looked at her directly. I'm not punishing you. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. Protecting yourself from what? From someone who sees me as an ATM with control issues instead of a partner. Her eyes welled up with tears. That's not fair. You're right. It wasn't fair. But it's over now. By week 4, she tried one last desperate move. She organized a dinner with mutual friends. Couples we'd hung out with before. She positioned it as a casual get-together, but I knew it was an ambush. And I was right. Halfway through the meal, one of the guys, Trevor, brought it up. So, I heard you two have been going through some stuff. I smiled. You could say that. Melissa mentioned you've been having some, financial disagreements. That's one way to put it. His girlfriend, Danielle, jumped in. Relationships are about compromise. Maybe you both need to give a little. I gave for 3 years, I said calmly. Now it's time for Melissa to give to herself. Melissa's face flushed red. You're making me sound like a freeloader. Are you not? The table went silent. I work, she protested. Part-time. By choice. I have expenses. that you expect me to cover. That's what partners do. Partners contribute. Partners don't accuse each other of abuse for asking reasonable questions. Trevor shifted uncomfortably. Man, that's kind of harsh. What's harsh is spending 3 years building a life with someone, only to be told you're toxic and controlling when you notice they're taking advantage. Melissa stood up abruptly. I can't do this. She left the restaurant. Everyone looked at me like I'd just kicked a puppy. What? I said. I'm the bad guy for refusing to be used. Danielle frowned. There are 2 sides to every story. You're right. There are. But only one side is paying the bills. I left shortly after. I didn't need their approval or understanding. By week 5, Melissa stopped pretending to be nice. I hope you're happy, she spat one night. You've completely destroyed our relationship. I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped funding it. Same thing. If money is the only thing holding us together, we were already destroyed. She started packing her things. Not all at once, but gradually. A box here, a bag there. I didn't stop her. Didn't ask where she was going. Didn't offer to help. I just watched, feeling nothing but relief. By week 6, she was mostly moved out. Staying with Christina, apparently, though that arrangement was already souring based on the text arguments I saw lighting up her phone. On her last night in the apartment, she tried one final time. I'm sorry, she said quietly. For everything. I should have appreciated you more. You should have. Can we try again? Start over. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone I didn't recognize anymore. Someone who'd shown me exactly who she was when I wasn't useful to her. No, I said simply. Why not? Because you didn't apologize until the money stopped. That tells me everything I need to know. She left the next morning. I changed the locks that afternoon. The weeks that followed were strange. Peaceful, but strange. I had the apartment to myself. My bank account started recovering. My credit card statement shrank to a reasonable size. And then the text started. First from Melissa. I can't afford my portion of the phone bill. Can you cover it just this once? I blocked her number. Then from Christina. Melissa is really struggling. You're being heartless. I blocked her too. Then from random numbers I didn't recognize. People from her circle trying to guilt me into helping her out. I blocked them all. A month after she moved out, I heard through the grapevine that she was dating someone new. Some guy she'd met at one of those girls' nights. They'd apparently been talking for months. I wasn't surprised. Just validated. 2 months after she moved out, I ran into her at a coffee shop. She looked tired. Stressed. Her clothes weren't as trendy as they used to be. She saw me and froze. Hey, she said awkwardly. Hey, how have you been? Good. Really good, actually. She nodded, looking down. That's good. There was a long pause. I'm sorry, she said finally. For real this time. Not because I need anything, just because I was wrong. I appreciate that. Do you ever think about? No, I cut her off gently. I don't. She nodded again, tears in her eyes. I deserve that. You do. She left without ordering anything. I sat there with my coffee, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Genuine peace. 3 months after she moved out, I heard she'd moved to another city with the new guy. Apparently, he had money. Apparently, she was happy. Good for her. For months after she moved out, I started dating again. Nothing serious, just casual coffee dates and dinners. Getting to know people without the weight of expectation or resentment. It felt good. 5 months after she moved out, I got a letter in the mail. From Melissa. A handwritten letter, several pages long, explaining everything. How she'd been confused and scared and didn't know how to be an adult. How she'd taken me for granted. How she'd convinced herself that my reasonable expectations were controlling because it was easier than admitting she was selfish. How she understood now what she'd lost. The letter ended with an apology and a question. Could we ever be friends again? I thought about it for a long time. Then I threw the letter away. Not out of cruelty, but out of closure. She'd made her choices. I'd made mine. There was no going back, and there was no reason to maintain a connection to someone who'd shown me so little respect when it mattered. 6 months after she moved out, I signed a new lease. A better apartment, closer to work, with a view of the city. A place that was entirely mine, with no ghosts of arguments past. I stood on the balcony that first night, looking out at the lights, and realized something. I was genuinely happy. Not happy in spite of what happened, but happy because of it. Because I'd chosen myself. I'd set boundaries. I'd refused to be used. And I'd smiled when reality taught her what control really meant. Not my control over her life, but her own control, or lack thereof, over her own choices, consequences, and future. People ask me sometimes if I regret how things ended. If I wish I'd tried harder, compromised more, been more patient. The answer is simple. No. I gave 3 years of my life, my money, and my emotional energy to someone who saw it all as an entitlement rather than a gift. And when I finally stopped giving, she called me controlling. So I gave her exactly what she wanted, complete control over her own life. And somehow, she couldn't handle it. That's not my problem anymore. I'm 28 years old. I'm single. I'm financially stable. I'm emotionally healthy. And I'm completely, utterly free. She wanted to control the narrative and make me the villain. But in the end, reality controlled her far more effectively than I ever did. And I smiled, because I knew I'd made the right choice. The only choice that mattered. Choosing myself.